I told you earlier about the news headline that said, "Food crisis as drought and cold hit Mexico." Okay, so what do? The solution? Well, it seems to be more obvious than some others. You conserve and preserve. This applies not just to food, but time, money, and energy. You do less with now, and it won't be as shocking later on, and you'll also have more later on. We talked about in this list mending, canning, farming. Learn how to grow and preserve your own food. Be reliant on no one. And then know the news. If you pay attention to what's happening, you can see where things are heading. There are a bunch of items that I think you should keep on hand at home. Food, sugar, guns, seeds, just a few of them. I mean, if you think like our grandparents, they had all of those things. Sugar, I remember my grandmother telling me how scarce sugar was. You could barter sugar, but you could also barter your skills. You should buy a farmland if you can, and grow your own food if you can. If you can't buy a farm, live near farm that's close to a water source. And make sure you know your neighbors, and make sure you have a skill. I want to show you something on farmland in particular. Remember, this drought is coming from Mexico, and we already see the push into the United States. But I want to show you this. Remember, the fourth step in the transformation of the world comes from South America and Mexico. Radicals and revolutionaries from South America and Central America. Islamic extremists, we have reports that they're all across the border, but especially in San Diego. They're here. Drug lords head north. Remember the stories we did on the 5 beheadings last week here in America? This is already happening. They're already there. They're already there. This is why President Ahmadinejad was in Venezuela. And the drug lords are heading north. So when there's stress down here, never waste a crisis, it will start to head up into the United States. And when that happens, beware if you're a farmer. Because what the radicals and revolutionaries will say is, take the land from the farmer. We're all starving. That's why you cannot be an island. You have to live near like-minded people. You also have to have a skill. If you can't farm, great. Can you protect a farm? Because no farmer can be awake 24 hours a day if, God forbid, the world melts down. Another headline from earlier on in the show: India mulls the use of the rupee to pay for oil imports from Iran. This means that gas prices are going to do what? Go up or down? So what do? In that solution show that we did a few months back, learn to fix an engine. Get a car or a vehicle that's fuel efficient. Get a truck, an SUV, pre-1979 if you can. I've explained the answer to this headline's question: why are the Chinese buying record quantities of gold? That's the headline. You take that headline and add it to the one I told you about on yesterday's show, and the solutions are similar. The question, or the headline from yesterday's show, is the Fed hits the Weimar moment. Well, here's what I meant. Here's what this is. If you look at rising inflation and how to feed our families, the cost of what it takes for food and also for gasoline. And then you look at how our Fed and our politicians are masking that, but you know, the Fed last week said it's going to keep interest rates at 0%. Is that helping? You know, because you go to the grocery store and you buy a gallon of gas. When we continue to buy our own bonds, just like Germany did, it's not going to end well. And you add to the fact that we just keep printing our money. And once that stuff has velocity, once it goes into circulation, it's not going to be good. Unemployment is still high. When this happened in Germany, people started throwing their money behind diamonds and gold. And we showed you last week that's already happening. Now keep in mind, it took several years before Weimar disintegrated into hyperinflation. I think they started printing in the early 1920s, maybe 21, 22. And it wasn't until 1930s that they started to really, really have problems. So none of this stuff is going to happen overnight. Here, would you take one and put it on there? Time and order may vary wildly. I put this up on the chalkboard because I wanted you to know. These things don't happen overnight. But like I showed you, the birth pangs are getting stronger and closer. You protect yourself because that way you're not surprised and you can be a help to others. Solution for gold and the lack of the dollar. Well, A, have 30 days cash on hand in case they shut down the banks, because they've done it before. They have to stop a panic. They will. So do you have any cash on hand? You have to stop excess buying. You buy quality. You measure twice and you cut once. Another news headline I saw coming: Google announces privacy changes across products. Users can't opt out. A year ago on my Fox show, I heard about this one. I told you I didn't like the direction that Google was heading in, so I was going to stop using some of its products. Solution? It's simple. Know how to live electronics free. Doesn't mean that you do live electronics free. It means that you've tried that on. Can you still do the thing? Can you still read a map? Can your kids read a map? I'm teaching my son Rafe how to read the stars. You make copies of important books and documents and have them on hand. I have copies of everything that's good that I've read on my iPad. I have hard copies. Do you know where your deeds are? Do you have a hard copy of what's in your bank? You have to educate yourself at all times by reading. And I'll tell you again, read these books, Garden of the Beast, because you'll be able to see the patterns. It's all about patterns. See the patterns. And then you want to see what's coming. Read The Age of Spiritual Machines. And then couple it with what they're doing at Google. They never say this, but remember, this guy consults these guys. This is from the 1990s. It's simultaneously terrific and horrifying, especially when you know what these guys are up to. Know what the company is really all about. Know what you're doing. Know what your kids are doing. All of your online activities are being used to help these guys create this. And it, again, in the wrong hands, is terrifying. Yesterday, I talked about the ways that the Catholic religion is finding itself under attack. The Catholic colleges and hospitals are being forced to violate their own belief system under a new Health and Human Service Department mandate. It would require that faith-based employers provide health insurance, which includes subsidized contraception, sterilization, and abortion drugs. Well, that would force these institutions to violate their own belief system. Would you do that? Should they do that? The answer is no. Should you not stand with them because you're not Catholic? The answer is no. You cannot allow the government or anyone else to dictate what should be important values for your family. Solution? Preserve, reclaim, restore your traditions. Teach your children the basic values and principles. Live near like-minded people. Read the Bible. These are just a few examples of some of the scenarios that are heading our way. And those are just basic ways to protect yourself. You can find them, the entire list, at glennbeck.com.